The amazing thing about understanding the feminine archetypes is that it allows you to detach yourself from the external world, like achievements, expectations, and other people's behaviors. And that happens by tuning inward and understanding what's important to you and why. So let's get into it. Hi there, I'm Antonie, and I talk about all things feminine self-development, including feminine energy, cycle syncing, and feminine archetypes. And what I truly want with this channel is to help other women truly understand and cherish the powers of the feminine within you. And so if that's something that you feel like you might need some more of, then make sure to click that subscribe button and keep on watching. So in today's video, we're going to dive a bit deeper into the third feminine archetype called the intuitive, who's often also referred to as the mystique. And just in case you haven't seen them already, I'm doing a video series on each of the 7 feminine archetypes, where for now I've talked about the huntress and the sage in the previous videos. And I'm also covering some basics on the archetypes in general in each of the videos, so I highly recommend making sure that you check out all of them to get the full benefit. Before we dive into the intuitive, it's important to note that every woman or person who lives predominantly in the feminine energy has access to all 7 archetypes. And the archetypes are a bit like characters or parts of our personality. And each archetype has different traits, needs, desires, and potential shadow sides. And each of the archetypes will show up in every woman. And this is why it's so valuable to understand them, so that you can tap into each of them, as well as to ensure that you can balance out the potential downfalls of the archetypes that you spend the most time, and that you can feel empowered by the different parts of you, rather than unconsciously fall victim to one of their weaknesses. So the 7 feminine archetypes are the huntress, the sage, the intuitive, which we're covering today, the regent, the mother, the maiden and the guide, and finally the lover. And although we all have access to all 7 archetypes, the ways in which and the extent to which they show up will be different for every woman. And there will usually be one archetype that we resonate the most with and that we live the most in. As the name of this archetype suggests, she is incredibly connected to her intuition, and she's not afraid to let her intuition guide her more than logic, reasoning, and numbers. So whenever you're struggling to make decisions for yourself that feel aligned, knowing how to tap into the intuitive can be incredibly helpful. The intuitive is also confident in setting boundaries and ensuring that she protects her energy and her space and her time. And whenever a woman taps into the spiritual, you are tapping into the intuitive, because this is a trait of that archetype. The intuitive is calm, centered, often spiritual, and kind. She's usually an introvert and is rarely someone who seeks to be the center of attention. So as an introvert, this archetype's main struggle can often be to get out of her own comfort zone, as well as to get out and actually socialize, make friends, and take big action on goals and dreams. And she can also forget sometimes to be a bit flexible with her boundaries, to make space for the needs of those around her, such as her partner or close family. And she can also struggle to really connect with other parts of herself, such as her passion, sensuality, and sexuality. So the intuitive can be a bit of an interesting character to find in media, essentially because to make it media worthy, meaning entertaining, this archetype often gets represented as either quirky or incredibly spiritual. So while we go over the examples in media, keep in mind the qualities and traits that we covered earlier to give yourself a holistic view of this archetype. And just know that you can be as quirky or as spiritual as you want. Either way, you can safely tap into the intuitive. Some good examples of the intuitive archetype in media is Bonnie from Big Little Lies, because this character is spiritual, she's calm, she's centered, and she's not so fixated on external or appearances. Another great example of this archetype is the Amity faction leader in the Divergent series movies. This character is kind, she prefers to stay neutral in conflict, and she's peaceful. And another fun example of the intuitive is Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter, because this character, she is quirky, she's comfortable in her own company, and she is incredibly kind. So ways to activate the intuitive archetype within you is to focus on connecting more to your intuition and allowing it to guide you. So actually take time to be still, slow down, and listen to your inner knowing. And you can do this by journaling, meditating, focusing on breath work. Anything that allows you to slow down and listen to that deep inner knowing inside of you. And it's important that while you do this, you eliminate any distractions, like social media or TV in the background, or just people talking around you. Another way to activate the intuitive is to actually follow through with what your intuition tells you. And you can start small if you feel like this is an uncomfortable area for you. So start with something small, like reduce the time you spend on something. Choose to not work out that day. Avoid going to the party or go to the party. Wear the outfit. Have a conversation. Give yourself some rest. It can be anything that your intuition is hinting at, is guiding you to. But practicing the muscle of listening to and honoring your intuition will increase your connection with the intuitive. And another way to activate the intuitive archetype more is to spend a day by yourself and with yourself. And not just while numbing yourself out by watching Netflix all day or looking at social media, but actually spending the day with yourself, like reading or going for long walks, exploring a new area, take a bath, cook for yourself, bake, just anything that is in solitude and simply with you and for you. And before we wrap up, there's a really important note that I need to make when it comes to activating the different archetypes, which is that it's important for us to remember that we are not the archetype. We are the consciousness that can take advice and insights from these archetypes and from the parts within ourselves, but we are the consciousness that chooses what to listen to, when to combine two archetypes' points of view, and when to pick one. And connecting to the intuitive archetype can help you do that even more, as she is generally neutral in conflicts and she's more connected to her intuition, so that you can actually align yourself with your intuition as opposed to kind of just unconsciously follow the directions from an archetype that you might not actually feel that aligned with in that moment or in that decision. So for example, if you are debating on whether you want to commit to a relationship, if you seek guidance from the lover, she might tell you to move on because she likes novelty, she likes passion, she likes new things and new relationships. She might just say, hey, let's just move on to the next one. While if you tap into the regent, she's all about partnership and commitment, so she would tell you to stick it through and build this strong relationship. And by listening to the 2 points of views, you can actually listen to which one you feel most aligned with, and not just listen to the lover because you didn't realize that she was popping up and she was making decisions for you, but actually take a step back and listen to what you feel most aligned with. And maybe it's not just listening to either or, maybe it's listening to a combination. Maybe it's saying, yes, lover, I do want passion, I do want excitement, but I also want commitment. So I'm going to commit and make this a long-term relationship, but I'm going to be dedicated to incorporating passion and novelty into this relationship. And as you can see, that helps you make more empowered and aligned decisions instead of just unconsciously making a decision that you don't even really know why you're doing it and you don't really feel it aligned with it. So on that note, before we wrap up, I want to remind you that you have a free quiz that you can access. I'll link it in the description box below, that helps you determine which is your leading feminine archetype. Because remember, we have access to all 7 and we need to access all 7. But there will usually be one archetype that we resonate the most with, and you can discover which one is yours in the quiz below. And make sure to comment and let me know which one you get, because I'm super curious. And also note that in the description box, you'll find a link to a blog post that covers all of the 7 archetypes and a bit more information about each one, and also about the archetypes in general. So if you're curious and want to learn even more, then check out that blog post too. And with that, I hope this video brought you some value, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to click that like button. And again, don't forget to take the quiz, and don't forget to leave me a comment on which one is your main archetype, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can keep an eye out for the next archetypes videos. And in the meantime, check out these videos.